Hey BJ Club members, it's Chef Mark and we're in the kitchen today with some easy tips for your holiday meal preparation. I'm going to show you several ingredients. We got some great recipes that we're going to show you how to make super fast so we can take a little bit of stress out of the holidays for you. First off, we're going to start off with the Kitchen Basics chicken stock. I also have the Kitchen Basics beef stock. We're going to use those both for our gravies. I'm going to show you how to make a soup with it. I'm going to show you how to keep your turkey nice and moist. Very versatile. You're going to use a lot of these this holiday season. They're going to add a lot of flavor to your dishes. Of course, the pure ground black pepper. Wonderful. We're going to coat the turkey with that. I rubbed that earlier, which you'll see in the recipe. Plus, we just use it as a seasonal as well as a garlic powder in several of the recipes that I'm going to show you here in just a minute. Now, I've got two gravy mixes for you here. I have our poultry gravy mix and a brown gravy mix. Now, either one of these can be made with water or using the Kitchen Basics either chicken or beef stock. They're terrific, super easy to make. I've got a couple variations on the back of each of these packages that we're going to make as well. You'll get to see something new, a different twist on your gravy. Now for baking, we've got our cinnamon and our pure vanilla. Now the pure vanilla, not only can I show you how to use that in your cookies, in your pies, in your cakes, but I also show you a savory application in a green bean almondine. Gives it a little bit of richness to that. And then finally, the thyme. Thyme's a wonderful herb during the holidays. What makes the whole kitchen, the whole home just smell like Thanksgiving. It's a wonderful, wonderful aroma in the kitchen, just like sage, but thyme, we're going to use that in a lot of our recipes as well. Let's get started. All right, here we go. So what I like to do is take a little bit of softened whole butter and just rub all over the turkey. That's going to give it not only flavor, but it's going to give some great color as well. Then I've got a mixture of the McCormick pure ground black pepper that you have available right here in the club. And we're just going to kind of sprinkle that all over. Lightly rub that in as well. And then I'm also going to put a little bit of the McCormick poultry seasoning. Now the poultry seasoning again will help with the flavor. Not too much because we don't want to overpower. And same thing, we'll just rub that in really good. Get that all over. And this I am now going to place into the oven. I'm going to cook at about 350 degrees for about 3.5 hours. Obviously your time will depend on what size bird you use, but let's get this in the oven. Okay, I've just pulled the turkey out of the oven and you can see we've got some great color here from that wonderful butter that we originally rubbed the turkey with. It's given us some great brown. I wish you could smell here in the kitchen. It just smells fantastic. A little bit of that salt, a little bit of that pepper, a little bit of that poultry seasoning. Now occasionally throughout the basting, what I've been doing, and again, you can use your choice of either the Kitchen Basics chicken stock or the beef stock to put right over it. I'm simply just, I don't want to say glazing, but kind of just topping to keep everything nice and moist. Now, throughout the cooking process, and again, depending on the size of your turkey, I'd say about every half hour or so, whether you use a bulb baster or you can see I'm just using a spoon to take the stock that I've heated up here on the stovetop, just to kind of baste that right over. That's going to give us some great drippings later for our gravy if we decide to use. But you can see, look at the color on that. Just coming out wonderful. The salt, the pepper, the butter, poultry seasoning, the wonderful turkey. You can see it's just not that difficult to do. But again, using either the Kitchen Basics chicken stock or beef stock, we can put that as our moistener, if you will, to keep that turkey looking wonderful. So this turkey is just about done. I'm going to place it back in the oven. I haven't covered it anymore. I'm going to just let it continue to brown here. It's going to look wonderful. So another great easy tip to use our Kitchen Basics chicken stock is in our mashed potatoes. What I like to do in place of the butter or in place of the cream or milk is use a little bit of the hot stock. You'd simply heat it up in a saucepan or sauce pot on the stove. You can use the chicken stock in here. Also, I've flavored my potatoes today with a little bit of the thyme that's available here at the club, as well as the pure ground black pepper. I've also got a little bit of the garlic powder in my mix. And you can see my potatoes are nice and fluffy. I don't have any cream or butter, it's just a nice addition. Or if you'd like to mix it up a little bit and do half of the Kitchen Basics chicken stock, half of the butter or cream or milk inside your potatoes, you can see they'll come out nice and fluffy and they're going to taste wonderful. So here's another easy tip for your holiday meals, using the Kitchen Basics chicken stock or beef broth to make soups, stews, or gravies, either with your Thanksgiving holiday meal or for the leftovers that come after the next day after. One of my favorite soups to make during this time of year is butternut squash soup. It's in season, it's abundant, it's fresh, and you can make it during your holiday meal or the next day with leftovers using the Kitchen Basics chicken stock. I also like to put in a little bit of the garlic powder, and you can see I've got the peeled butternut squash here, a little bit of red onions and some thyme, and I like to garnish it with a little bit of these sliced almonds that I've toasted up in the oven. You just pour them right here in the soup. You can see that after I've cooked the squash, almost like you would potatoes, you can add a little bit of the chicken stock to it, cover it with the lid. When the butternut squash is soft enough, you just puree it up in a blender, or if you have one of the immersion blenders, you can put right in the pot. But this is great, velvety in texture, nice and flavorful, and it's really perfect for either your holiday meal or, as I said, the days afterward. One of the classic holiday dishes is green beans or green beans almondine. That's with a little bit of sliced roasted almonds. I've got a twist for you on this, but again, using the Kitchen Basics chicken broth, a little bit of garlic powder, and vanilla, if you want the twist. Yes, vanilla, I'll explain that in just a second, makes a great addition to your green bean almondine. What you can do is you can blanch the green beans in the chicken stock. It's going to give it great flavor, or you can do water if you'd like. I like doing it in the chicken stock though, because it just lends another layer of warmth and flavor to the green beans. If not, if you just cook them in regular water and ice them afterwards, you can make a dressing, for lack of a better description, using a little bit of olive oil or butter, available right here in the club, our Kitchen Basics chicken stock, garlic powder, a little bit of salt, black pepper, and that by itself, just mix that in a little bit of a dressing to pour over your green beans will be fine. And you can see that I've got a little bit of the almonds here as well. But for that twist that I was telling you about, the McCormick vanilla, when you're making that dressing that I just described, either you use olive oil or butter with a little bit of the stock, black pepper, the garlic powder, and the vanilla, it just adds a richness to those. And you can just dress that and coat these green beans. Your guests will love it. And it gives you something new and unique for your holiday table. Here's another easy tip for your holiday meals. When it comes to making homemade stuffing, I love using our Kitchen Basics chicken stock. You can also use the beef broth, a little bit of thyme, garlic powder, and pure ground black pepper. Now you'll see when I say fresh homemade stuffing, I mean homemade stuffing. From the bakery, I love to get one of the larger loaves of bread. Just want to get something that's neutral in flavor. You don't want to have too many like roasted garlic or raisins or anything in there, but just a nice large loaf of bread that you can see how I've cubed this up. Take a look at those cubes that I have there. Cut them fresh. I've got a little bit of sauteed onion, a little bit of celery. Again, I use the garlic powder, the pure ground black pepper, and the thyme. And what I'm going to do in my dish, and I did butter the dish before I put in the breadcrumbs, is just a little bit of the, I like using the stock, but I've got the Kitchen Basics chicken stock here. So I'm just going to pour that in there to moisten that up. I'll cover this with foil, put it into the oven about 350 degrees, probably about 20-25 minutes. For the last 5 or 10 minutes though, I'll pull off a foil cover if I have some on there to protect it. And when you pull the foil off, it's going to give great color. Here, let me show you what I've got. Look at this one fresh out of the oven. You can see I've got some nice browning here. You can see those wonderful large cubes came up, the celery, the onion. I can just really smell the thyme and the garlic in there, and everything stayed nice and moist, but you can tell this was homemade. Look at the size of those chunks. So try this out with the Kitchen Basics chicken stock. Here's another easy tip for your holiday meals. Actually, one of the main stars of the holiday meal, the gravy. We have the wonderful poultry gravy mix. In addition, using either our Kitchen Basics chicken stock or beef stock, you can make gravy from scratch in just a few minutes. Now what I've done here, I've got 4 cups of the Kitchen Basics chicken stock. I'm going to bring it to a boil. Now you can use water. I like using the chicken stock or the beef stock because I think it just adds another layer of flavor to your gravy. And as you can see, it's come up to a real gentle boil here. I'm going to make about a quart of gravy. So I've got my 4 cups of my stock. I'm going to add in 1 cup of the poultry gravy mix and just pull that off the heat, and I'm going to whisk it very gently until it starts to thicken up a little bit. There's a couple variations on the back of each of our gravy mix. We have a poultry gravy mix and a brown gravy mix. And I'll show you a couple of those variations, but you can see how quickly that comes together. That smells wonderful, and you can see about how fast it took to make that gravy from scratch. Now, this one I did with the chicken stock. The one right next to it here I did with water. You can see a little bit of the color difference, but that same wonderful thickness that's going to go great over the potatoes or over the turkey. Now, one of the variations on the poultry gravy mix is an Italian mushroom. What we've done here is I've just made the regular gravy, and we've added in some sliced button mushrooms. You could also use cremini or shiitake. Just mix them right in there with a little bit of Italian seasoning. You'll saute those in a little bit of butter. You can actually make both these gravies for your holiday meal and have two for your guests to choose from. Now, I got to be honest with you, club members. This is one of my favorite, not only recipes, but favorite tips for the holidays. We're using the McCormick Pure Vanilla for baking. Now, I showed you an earlier recipe where you can actually use the vanilla in a savory dish. We did the green bean almondine, if you remember, using our vanilla, but there's nothing like a classic chocolate chip cookie. And I think we've got one of the best recipes right here for chocolate chip cookies. We're using the vanilla that you can get right here in the club. Very simple. You can see these just came right out of the oven. Wonderful. They're not too soft. They're not too crispy. These are great to have, obviously, for guests maybe before the meal starts or at the end of your holiday meal. Something simple, high quality pure vanilla, simple to make ahead of time if you'd like, baked dishes for your holiday meal. And there you have it, BJ Club members. Chef Mark here in the kitchen with you. We've given you some easy tips for your holiday meals using the McCormick products. We've got a wonderful turkey. We showed you how to use the pure ground black pepper and the Kitchen Basics chicken stock or beef stock to keep it nice and moist. We made some mashed potatoes using the same thing, a little bit of thyme, a little bit of pepper, and the Kitchen Basics chicken stock or beef stock. We made fresh homemade stuffing using that wonderful fresh bread, again using the stock and the seasonings. We made green bean almondines, and I even gave you an elegant twist using the pure vanilla in there. It's not just for baking. Although we do have the chocolate chip cookies that we showed to bake, you can use the vanilla and cinnamon in your pies, in your cakes, any of your other holiday desserts. We made a wonderful butternut squash soup. There's other recipes available for using leftover turkey the day afterwards. And there you have it, your wonderful holiday meals. If you have any questions, just check with any of the associates here in the club. Have a great holiday season. It's Chef Mark here with BJ's in the Kitchen.